Hello, hello. I had a completely different episode planned for today, and something got me really fired up this morning that I just felt like I had to talk more about and I had to share because it's something that so many women are currently struggling with, currently going through, and I know my clients have gone through and they've shared real stories about this, and I've had a lot of discovery calls with some women over the past week or two who are ready to come off birth control, and just some of the things that they've told me that they've been told by their primary care doctors, their gynecologists, their OBGYNs. um, it's been quite shocking to me, and so I wanted to bring life to this conversation and to let women who are going through this or who have gone through this know that there are other options. So, the elephant in the room that I'm talking about today is scare tactics that doctors lead women to believe about stopping birth control that keeps them stuck taking birth control. So we're gonna talk about it today. I want to start with true things that I've heard that I'm sure a lot of you can relate to, that women who I've talked to, real life testimonials, real life examples, things that women have told me that they've been told by their doctor that has terrified them from stopping birth control. Here's a couple examples. One of my clients told me that her doctor told her she'd go crazy if she stopped. This particular client is 56, and I actually started working with her back over the summer. And so she is in the process of working with me to transition off birth control. She is 56 and she's like, I think I'm in menopause, but I don't know because I'm on birth control. And if you don't know this already, birth control tamps down your natural hormone production, basically inhibits your body's natural hormone production. So if you're on birth control, you're not going through the natural ebb and flows of your cycle. Therefore, it's kind of prematurely preventing you from entering menopause. And it's going to make that journey into menopause even more chaotic if you're stopping birth control. So she wanted to be really proactive and get to the root cause of her hormone imbalances to have a safe transition off birth control and into menopause, perimenopause. But her doctor, when she brought this up to her OBGYN, told her, you will go crazy if you stop birth control. And I don't use this word lightly. I truly don't, because I think that this word is, in the past couple years, has been kind of like overused sometimes. But I felt like this client was kind of being gaslit into staying on birth control due to the clinician's lack of knowledge and lack of education around birth control and women's health. So this kept my client stuck, feeling like I'm not being listened to. She's not getting it. I want to come off. And basically, her clinician told her, we'll wait another year, see what you think. She came back in another year, and her clinician told her, you're going to go crazy. So that's when she was like, screw this. I'm finding other resources. She found me, and let me tell you, she's thriving. She's feeling so much better, even with just the things that we've done in the process of transitioning her off birth control. And she's not even off yet. We're planning on stopping her in the next couple months. So that was one thing I heard that I had to share that one, that you'll go crazy if you stop. Your painful periods will come back. This is one I hear a lot, is that doctors put women on birth control as a solution, quote unquote, for their painful periods. Or if they're missing periods, that's my next one. You won't get a regular period and you won't be able to get pregnant. That was something that someone told me on a call that I had recently, that they were told by their clinician. They were put on they were put on birth control to get their period back, because they lost their period. Or this other client was put on birth control to mask the painful periods that left her, skipping work, skipping school when she was younger, left on the couch. But birth control doesn't actually solve your period issues. It doesn't bring your period back. It basically prohibits ovulation, which is the menstrual part of your period, which is the actual part that is connected to conception, fertility, balancing hormones, all of that kind of stuff. You're not ovulating on the birth control pill. You're just getting an artificial bleed from the iron pills that you're taking. Similarly, with painful periods, birth control is just masking those. It's not getting to the root cause of why are you having painful periods. It's tamping down those hormone levels, which for some people can help prevent painful periods, but when you get off birth control, they're just going to come back with a vengeance. So being led to believe their painful periods are going to come back, they won't get a period, and they won't get pregnant because of that. That scares a lot of people. And then the last one that I heard from a client who I'm really excited to start working with, she just signed up with me a couple weeks ago, and we have her assessment tomorrow. She was told that birth control was the only thing keeping her mood stable. This client has, a lot of stuff going on, and she was told by her clinician that birth control was keeping her mood stable and that basically she had to be on it. So there is a lot wrong with all of this. As I've mentioned, birth control doesn't solve the underlying issues causing these symptoms. It's masking the deeper rooted problem or problems. Most of the time, there's multiple things going on. It also makes these things worse in the long run because of birth control's compounding effects on the body. I talked a lot about this in last week's episode about the biggest mistake that I made when coming off birth control. I dive into the nitty-gritty of all the impacts that birth control has on your body. But just as a rerun of that, if you didn't listen to that episode or if you need a reminder, birth control has lots and lots of effects. It affects every single body system. And that's another myth that doctors will lead you to believe. And you've probably been told, well, it doesn't have any side effects. That's simply not true. It affects every single body system. It causes mineral depletions. And minerals and vitamins are super, super important for the entire health of your body. It causes widespread inflammation, including inflammation in the gut, as well as disrupting the gut microbiome. So it increases levels of bad bacteria, decreases levels of beneficial bacteria in the gut, causes that inflammation of the lining. So a lot of women are having and really suffering for a long time with gut symptoms, constipation, gas, bloating, diarrhea, all that kind of stuff. And they've been through the gamut of seeing GI doctors, doing all the things, and nothing's helping. Birth control also puts a lot of stress on the liver. The liver is our main detoxification organ in combination with the skin and the gut. And any medication or anything you put in your body has to be detoxified. And so birth control, because of its artificial hormones, it puts a lot of stress on the liver. And that can lead to a whole host of symptoms, PMS, PMDD, acne, other skin conditions, the list goes on and on. So that's a really broad overview. I dive a lot deeper into that in my last episode, and I plan on doing a deeper dive into that in future episodes as well. I would also encourage you to check out my free Breakup with Birth Control Masterclass because I dive into those things even deeper. So basically, women aren't told that birth control has these negative side effects, but they're just not feeling themselves on birth control, or maybe that the birth control isn't actually helping what they were put on it to begin with, right? So maybe, like for me, I'll use myself as an example. I was put on birth control, I shared with all of you listening, because I lost my period. And I was told, okay, you can just stay on it for as long as you want. It wasn't until 10 years later that I realized I wasn't actually having a true period on birth control. And so the thing that was supposed to be helping me with all these years wasn't actually helping me. And when I came off birth control, I had improved my relationship with food and exercise and all that kind of stuff. I was in a much better place. But because I'd been on it for 10 years, my hormones were like, what the heck is going on? They had to relearn how to produce themselves, to function in the right way. Like they had to relearn how to work and to be produced. So I did have irregular, pretty erratic periods for a while. And it took some finagling for me to get my period in a place where it was consistent. And now I'm happy to say that it's really, really consistent. It's pretty spot on, and I can track it. And it's so nice to know exactly what's going on in my body because of that. But it wasn't like that when I first stopped. So, birth control does have those side effects, and birth control isn't actually getting to the deeper root of why is that happening? Why were you having painful periods? Why was your period missing? Why are you having acne? Since acne is another big reason why a lot of women are put on birth control. And if it's not actually solving the problem to begin with, I have lots of clients who they're on birth control and maybe it stopped their painful periods for a while, but then they come back, or it causes other issues, right? Like there's so much to be linked from prolonged birth control risk or prolonged birth control use in women A lot of my clients come to me and they're like, I'm more anxious. I'm dealing with depression. I just don't feel like myself. I still have PMS. My gut's a mess. I still am getting acne. All of these things, but they're terrified to come off birth control because of what they've been told by their doctor. They're terrified all these things will get worse and that they'll be helpless. And that's exactly where I come in, because doctors don't tell you how to come off birth control the right way. They basically tell you just need to stay on or come off and suffer. So you either suffer on it, you suffer off of it. There's really no guidance of how to come off and to heal those deeper imbalances that are causing those symptoms to begin with. And that is, my friends, I feel like a huge gap in our conventional medical system. That's a huge gap that needs to be filled. And that's exactly why I do what I do, because birth control isn't solving the deeper problem. It's the hill I will die on. Artificial hormones aren't solving the problem. We need to dig deeper and we need to be asking the hard questions of what is actually going on here. And this is where I use functional testing combined with a deep dive assessment. I do not do, when I meet with my clients, I'm seeing them for anywhere from 45 to 90 minutes. When you go to your average doctor's appointment, think about how long you're there. You're probably in the waiting room longer than you're actually in the appointment. At least that's been my experience and the experience of my clients and my friends and everyone who I've talked to. So, and this conversation, I want to be clear, is not to bash doctors. It's really not. This is just to highlight where there is a need for additional support, where there's a need for additional education in our medical system. Doctors just aren't taught this. And a big reason why is because a lot of our studies around health are based off of male test subjects. Women were included in health research until the 1990s. So it's pretty new, and still a lot of the health research we have is based off of men, or it's based off of women who are on birth control or women who are menopausal, perimenopausal, because they are not having those ebbs and flows in their cycles. I read something one time from a hormone expert, and she was saying like women who are cycling, so those who are on birth control, who are naturally having those ebbs and flows in their hormones, they're too complicated to do research on, because our hormones are not a 24-hour cycle, right? Like they're a month-long cycle. So there's just a lack of research, a lack of education, a lack of understanding of how birth control works and how women's health works. It's not cookie cutter black or white. And so that's where I come in and I really help support women to identify and deeply heal the root causes of their hormone imbalances, whether it's painful periods, whether it's just, generalized inflammation and not feeling right, whether it's mental health concerns. I see that so much with all of my women who are, I shouldn't say all, but a lot of my women who are wanting to transition off birth control. That's a huge driver for them of just not feeling like themselves, feeling more anxious, more depressed, like I said earlier, but all their labs keep coming back normal. So that's a thing too. My labs that I run are not going to be the labs that are run by your average doctor. Even if you've seen functional healthcare doctors, I'm going to bet that I'm going to run things differently and I'm going to look at them for a different lens, because what I run is specifically geared towards women's health and specifically geared towards what's optimal for women's health versus if you look at blood work, for example, the range of what is normal is really, really wide versus mine is much more narrow. And I'm looking at, well, what's optimal for women's health? They're looking at what's normal for the average person, including men and women, and it's a very large range. So most women I see, they come to me and they're like, all my labs can come back normal, but I feel like complete shit. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm looking at these labs and they don't look normal to me, but they weren't told that by their doctor. So if you're tired of scare tactics, if you're tired of feeling chained to birth control, like you have no other option, you have to be on it or it's going to be terrible. And if you're looking to just feel better, if you want to transition off birth control and get to the deeper root of what's causing your symptoms, whether it's acne, whether it's painful periods, whether it's a missing period, whether it's you're anxious and or depressed on birth control, you just don't feel good, you have fatigue, you're tired all the time, I have good news for you. There's other options. You have solutions, and birth control isn't a long-term fix, and it might be making things worse. So I have two solutions for you today for you to walk away with. The first one, I mentioned this earlier, my free Breakup with Birth Control Masterclass. This is for the woman who's curious and maybe she wants to come off birth control. She's like gung ho about it. Maybe she just wants to understand a little bit more. Maybe all this information I'm talking about is like super new and she's like, her mind is blown. It was me 10 years ago when not 10 years ago, 5 years ago. 5 years ago when I stopped birth control and I learned I wasn't having a period on it. I was just sitting there and I was like, what the heck? How did I not know this? So maybe all this information is really new for you and you just want to gather information. You want to learn the facts. You want to understand more about how your body works, how birth control works, how it impacts your body, how it might be related to your symptoms. This is the perfect place to start. It's free. It's about 45 minutes, really easy to watch or to listen to while you drive, while you clean, whatever. It goes into my 4-step process of how I help women break up with birth control with clear skin, balanced mood, and monthly pain-free periods. So that is something I'm going to link in the show notes. That's option 1. Opportunity 2 is if you are ready, you want to get off birth control, whether it's the pill, the hormonal IUD, and you want individualized support from an expert. You don't want to guess. You want someone to give you a step-by-step plan. What should I eat? What supplements should I take? What should I be doing differently? What should I be doing the same? You want chat access to me 5 days a week so you never have to Google or guess or go down the rabbit hole again. Then I'm going to put the link below to work with me one-on-one. If you are a go-getter who's ready to do this thing, you're ready to invest in herself, you want to get to the bottom of your symptoms and transition off birth control symptom-free or with minimal symptoms, then we'll hop on a free discovery call just to chat more, make for sure it's a mutual good fit, and answer any questions you have. So the first piece of this is just developing that understanding. The second piece is, figuring out a customized plan for you. Whether that's working with me one-on-one, whether that's watching the masterclass, whether that's just asking more questions at your primary care doctor's office, or whether that's digging deeper into your own health symptoms. I know for me, this was a journey. I did not have anyone like myself to work with. I wish that I did. And I will say this over and over again. That's why I opened my practice to help other women not have to go through the same thing. But I wish I knew all of this. So that's what I'm hoping to highlight with this episode is that you are not destined to take birth control for the rest of your life to quote unquote feel better or to mask whatever symptom you've been struggling with. It could be making things worse. And especially if you're still feeling bad on birth control or other symptoms, I call it whack-a-mole. Maybe other symptoms have popped up since being on birth control. There's lots and lots of side effects of that because of because of the lasting impact of birth control, that the longer you're on it, the more it impacts your body. It's a compounding effect. But there are solutions. You can stop birth control and heal those imbalances naturally with a root cause approach, and I'm here to help you do that. I hope this was really helpful. I hope this brought some insight and some awareness, and I hope this episode honestly leaves you feeling calmer. I hope this gives you hope. I hope this makes you feel energized and like there are things you can do that are in your control. Thank you so much for listening. And if you could take a second to like this episode, subscribe, leave a review, it would seriously mean so much to me, especially as a newer podcast. And until next time, stay nourished, friends.